permanent division, resettlement of Gaza, the clearing of the border area in Lebanon. All this could come to pass under a second Trump term with no breaks. I do not for 1 second underestimate the sacrifice in blood that Palestinians have. It's conventional wisdom that a second term of Donald Trump will be a disaster for Palestinians because the first one was. And it's true, Trump in his first term was manna from heaven for the religious Zionist right. Settlers had a permanent seat in the White House in the form of Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, or David Friedman, the American ambassador to Israel. Trump upended decades of policy by recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and moving the US embassy there. He disenfranchised the Palestinian Authority by closing down the Palestine Liberation Organization office in Washington. He allowed Israel to annex the Golan Heights. He pulled out of the nuclear accords with Iran, and he assassinated Qasem Soleimani, the most powerful Iranian general in the region. Even more damaging for the Palestinian struggle was Trump's sponsorship of the Abraham Accords. This was, and still is, an attempt to pour concrete over the grave of the Palestinian national cause, constructing over the heads of the Palestinians a superhighway of trade that would make Israel the portal to the wealth of the Gulf. On the 6th of October 2023, the day before Hamas attacked, the Palestinian cause was all but dead. The Palestinian struggle for self-determination felt like the baggage of an older generation of Arab leader, which was being unceremoniously dumped by their heirs. If that charge sheet is not long enough, it could easily be argued that Trump's second term will be even worse for Palestinians than the first was. This time around, and with the Republican Party projected to have control over both houses of Congress, there'll be no adults in the room to correct the president's wildest impulses. Friedman has just published a book arguing that America has a biblical duty to support Israel's annexation of the West Bank. So won't a second term of Trump bring more territorial changes that will bury a Palestinian state, like the annexation of the West Bank, the permanent division, resettlement of Gaza, the clearing of the border area in Lebanon? All this could come to pass under a second Trump term with no breaks. I do not for 1 second underestimate the sacrifice in blood that Palestinians have already paid and could yet pay for all that is about to come. But Trump, in his first presidency, brought about two other changes that few other people talk about. In throwing America's weight behind the settlers, he buried the Zionist dream of a liberal democratic state. This had been the main vehicle for Israel's territorial expansion for decades. After the Hamas attack, it was impossible to ignore the Palestinian cause. It had moved from the periphery of global human rights causes to its very centre. If the Israeli state fundamentally changed after the 7th of October, so too has the Palestinian mindset. The scale of the killing, the official Palestinian death toll from the war has so far exceeded 43,000, and the real count could be 3 times higher, and with a degree of destruction rendering most of the Gaza Strip uninhabitable. All this has crossed red lines for the Palestinians. So we've ended up with Trump once again. Trump now has a clear choice when he assumes power next year. He can either carry on where he left off and let the settlers annex the West Bank, or he can do what he told Muslim leaders he met in Michigan, which is to stop Netanyahu's wall. Either path is strewn with elephant traps. Letting Netanyahu achieve total victory would mean, in reality, the ethnic cleansing of 2/3 of the occupied West Bank, with a huge refugee influx ending up in Jordan, an act that would be seen in Jordan as a cause for war. It would mean the expulsion of Palestinians from northern Gaza and the permanent destruction of southern Lebanon, with the assumed right of Israel to continue bombing Lebanon and Syria. Each and any of these actions would lead to more war, which Trump has pledged to stop. But forcing Netanyahu to stop the war, in the way a strong Republican president like Ronald Reagan forced Israel to stop the bombing of Beirut 4 decades ago, would also have consequences.